The Knights Templar was established around 1119 and officially recognized as an order by Pope Honorius II in 1129. It was a Catholic medieval military order whose members defended Christian holy sites and pilgrims in the Middle East and elsewhere. The Templars, with headquarters at Jerusalem, were an important and elite element of the Holy Lands. Eventually, the Knights Templar became a very powerful order and they came to control both castles and lands across Europe. Accused of heresy, corruption, and performing forbidden practices, on Friday the 13th of October 1307, the order was attacked by the French King Philip IV and officially disbanded by Pope Clement V in 1312. Many Templar knights were burnt alive. The Knights Templar were a wealthy, powerful and mysterious order that has fascinated historians and the public for centuries. Please subscribe and give me your thoughts in the comments below. After Christian armies captured Jerusalem from Muslim control in the year 1099 during the Crusades, groups of pilgrims from across Western Europe started visiting the Holy Land. Many of them were robbed and killed as they crossed through Muslim-controlled territories during their journey. A French knight named Hugues de Payan created a military order along with knights calling themselves the Poor Fellow Soldiers of Christ and the Temple of Solomon, later known as the Knights Templar. With the support of the ruler of Jerusalem, Baldwin II, he gave the knights his palace, the former Aqsa Mosque, on the Temple Mount of Jerusalem, for use as their headquarters. The building was commonly referred to as the Temple of Solomon, and so the brotherhood quickly became known as the Order of the Knights of the Temple of Solomon, or simply the Templars. Here they pledged to protect Christian visitors to Jerusalem. The order grew thanks to donations from supporters who recognized their important role in the protection of the small Christian states. The Knights Templar set up a network of banks and gained enormous financial influence. Their banking system allowed religious pilgrims to deposit assets in their home countries and then withdraw the funds in the Holy Land by paying a small fee. At the height of the influence, the Knights Templar had grown in size and status. They had sizable fleets of ships, owned the Mediterranean island of Cyprus, and served as a primary bank and lending institution to European monarchs and nobles. Although their original purpose was to protect pilgrims from danger, the Knights Templar progressively expanded its duties, and from the mid-12th century they became defenders of the Crusader states in the Holy Land, and were known as brave, highly skilled warriors. The group developed a reputation as fierce fighters during the Crusades. Recruits came from all over the Western Europe, with France being the largest single source. They were motivated by a sense of religious duty to defend Christians everywhere, but especially the Holy Land and its sacred sites. Recruits had to be free men of legitimate birth. Many recruits who were expected to make a significant donation on entering the order and had to be as debt-free as possible. The order was led by the Grand Master, with two ranks within the order, the Knights and the Sergeants, with a second group including non-military personnel and laymen, with most recruits being for the second group. The number of knights across the order was surprisingly few, with perhaps only a few hundred full-brother Templar knights at any one time, sometimes rising to 500 knights in times of intense warfare. Other members of the order included priests, craftsmen, laborers, and servants. In the late 12th century, Muslim armies overpowered Jerusalem and turned the tide of the Crusades, forcing the Knights Templar to relocate several times. The fall of Acre in 1291 marked the destruction of the last remaining Crusader refuge in the Holy Land. European support for the military campaigns in the Holy Land began to erode over the years that followed. The order was still not subject to local government, making it everywhere a state within a state. The Knights Templar no longer had a well-defined mission, but could still pass freely through all borders. This situation heightened tensions with some European nobility, especially as the Templars were indicating an interest in founding their own monastic state, just as the Teutonic Knights had done in Prussia and the Knights Hospitaller were doing in Rhodes. By 1303, the Knights Templar established a base of operations in Paris. There, King Philip IV of France resolved to bring down the order. According to historians, King Philip, who was already deeply in debt to the Templars from borrowing funds for his war against England, decided to seize upon the Knights Templars using false rumors for his own purposes. He began pressuring the church to take action against the order with false claims that the Templar Knights were heretics as a way of freeing himself from all his debts. On Friday, October the 13th, 1307, scores of French Templars were arrested, including the order's Grand Master, Jacques de Molay. Many of the knights were brutally tortured until they confessed to false charges, which included heresy, homosexuality, financial corruption, devil worshipping, fraud, spitting on the cross, and more. Relenting to Philip's demands, Pope Clement V issued the papal on the 22nd of November 1307, which instructed all Christian monarchs in Europe to arrest all Templars and seize their assets. Pope Clement called for the papal hearings to determine the Templars' guilt or innocence, and once the Templars were freed of being tortured, many Templars recalled their confessions and insisted on their innocence. No evidence was brought forward apart from the confessions of the handful of Templars that confessed under extreme torture. King Philip, using the previously forced confessions to have dozens of Templars burned at the stake in Paris, before they could even mount a proper defense. And in pursuance of the king's wishes, in 1311, Clement V summoned the Council of Vienne, which refused to convict the Templars of heresy. The Pope then abolished the order anyway, dissolving the Knights Templars order in 1312, and then in March 1314, King Philip had Jacques de Molay, the Grand Master of the Temple, and Geoffroy de Chauny, Preceptor of Normandy, burnt at the stake. In September 2001, a document known as the Chignon Parchment, dated 17th to the 20th of August 1308, was discovered in the Vatican's secret archives. It is a record of the trial of the Templars and shows that Pope Clement absolved the Templars of all heresies in 1308 before formally disbanding the order in 1312. As did another Chignon parchment dated the 20th of August 1308 addressed to King Philip V of France, also mentioning that all Templars that had confessed to heresy were restored to the sacraments and to the unity of the Church. Today, the Roman Catholic Church has stated that the medieval persecution of the Knights Templar was unjust and that nothing was inherently wrong with the order or its rule, and that Pope Clement was pressed into his actions by the magnitude of the public scandal and by the dominating influence of King Philip IV. The remaining Templars around Europe were either arrested and tried under the papal investigation, with virtually none being convicted. They absorbed into other Catholic military orders or allowed to live out their days peacefully. Portugal was the first country in Europe where they had settled. The Portuguese king, Denis I, refused to pursue and persecute the former knights, as had occurred in all other sovereign states under the influence of the Catholic Church. Under his protection, Templar organizations simply changed their name to Order of Christ and is considered successors to the Knights Templar. Apart from the Order of Christ in Portugal, there is no clear historical connection between the Knights Templar and any other modern organization today, although many groups claim to have descended from the Templars. We would love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you for watching.